Hello there, yes. Well, it is becoming the weekend. It will be the weekend eventually. Anyway, yes, yesterday I was reminded that the ruling ideas at any time are the ideas of the ruling class, and we've certainly seen a lot of that in the British media, and it's astounding what they will report and the things that they won't report. So we'll do a little bit of both today. So the Daily Mail's comment today is a brave stand against the woke witchfinders. Yes, on the back of Kemi in Parliament yesterday, showing exactly what the government is likely to be fighting their culture wars on over the next few months. It's on the back of a tiny minority of people perceived as being a threat. Of course they're a threat to every decent person everywhere. It's the reason why there are potholes in the road, you trans people, isn't it? Anyway, it's worthwhile just unpicking the enormous level of hypocrisy that's gone into the writing of this piece. So let's set out our stall at the very beginning. Whatever gender a person identifies as, they're entitled to be treated with dignity, tolerance and respect. I'll let you read the piece down below and you can decide for yourself exactly the level of dignity, tolerance and respect that they're accruing to certain people. It goes without saying that trans people who believe they were born in the wrong biological sex should be protected from discrimination so far as the law allows. Yes, we want to change the law so it's not going to allow it at all. However, the rights of this tiny minority cannot and should not trump everyone else's. Friction arises when free speech collides with perceived prejudice. Yes, indeed, perceived prejudice. Not actual prejudice, obviously. Yes, and then we move on, sort of drawing a thin veil over that. The news also yesterday was that the BBC's new chair will be reviewing their coverage of the Israeli-Gaza conflict. I won't say that it's a war, because wars tend to involve two sides fighting rather than just one side pummeling. But there's a brilliant interview on Sky News with the Israeli ambassador to the UK, who I've been saying for the last few years has astoundingly right-wing views, which we might describe as something else beginning with F. And in this interview, you can have a link below, please do have a look for yourself, but she basically just says there won't be a two-state solution in Palestine because of the Palestinians. They're the problem. Interesting that only Sky manages to report this. The other outlets, of course, are still very much happy with the concept of sending Douglas Murray or Ollie London out to put on a jacket and look big and tough. But the biggest news story of the day, I think in real terms, well, after with all the press carrying on about Gary Lineker and how a football pundit is a really dangerous individual who should be protected to the full extent of the law, but at the same time we need to change the law so he doesn't get to say anything because we're really into free speech. All of that crew didn't actually manage to report the very interesting exchange yesterday in Parliament between MPs and prospective heads of BBCs who just couldn't quite answer the simple question as to whether or not people running the BBC should or shouldn't be members of a political party.
Should you be a member of a political party and on the BBC board?
The pause is, it's not a question I'm very clear about news and current affairs, and I'm not so clear about the board.
Isn't that something you should be clear about when you come for this interview?
Well, I think people are to come to this interview. Well, you didn't provide me with your questions, and if you provided me with your questions, I might have found an answer. I can certainly look into and come up with some view on it, but
I really want to know your view before you're appointed, rather than your view after you're appointed. I think it's important. I think we should know what people's politics are if they are active politicians whilst BBC board members.
Politicians?
Actively a member of a political party. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, that's being active in politics. You're taking the trouble to enrol in the political party and to political parties. fees. I put it to you that when you enter the BBC's board, you should set aside your party politics, and your commitment should be to the BBC and the BBC board and objectivity.
Ah, yes, and do remember, you will be protected to the full extent of the law. It's just that they'll change the law. Do have a lovely day.